Welcome back to the Ladies of Liberty podcast. I am your host, Lisa, and this is my co-host, Jay, and we are into part 2 of the LA fires. In the last episode, part 1, we covered the Los Angeles budget. We covered the shortage for the fire stations, both employment and stations themselves, the lack of material given to these firefighters for the last, I don't know, probably 10, 20 years. We have talked about the complete inept and incompetence of not just LA's leadership, but California's leadership that has led to such a devastating disaster. In this episode, we're actually going to go a little deeper. We're going to pull the wool back and really uncover and dig deep and let you guys decide, is this really just incompetence and complete mismanagement, or is there something more nefarious going on here, especially when it comes to these city and state officials? So, Jay, I'm going to pass this over to you because I know that this is a project that is near and dear to your heart, and you just keep uncovering. It's like an onion. You just keep uncovering more and more and more. And I've kind of let you run away with this whole subject here because you were an Altadena resident for many years. And so you know people who have been personally impacted by this. So I'm going to take it over to you and we'll go from there.
So what Lisa said is we're going to pull the wool back. I'm going to go even deeper. We're going to pull the skin back, okay? We're going to get the pus out. We're going to the infection, all right? Because the infection needs antibiotics and it needs to be dug out. It needs to, because it's metastasizing, all right? So if you could just visualize that, you're welcome, audience, for that visual. We have to get the infection out, and we need alcohol, we need antibiotics, we probably need surgery. So I have been going down a rabbit hole because one thing leads to the other, and it's like I'm not able to stop because it's all connected.
It is. So where do you want to start from here? Who do we need to start peeling back the surface on?
There's so many heads that need to go on spikes. I just couldn't pick which one. There's just so many that need to be on the gates. What we're going to show you is Kevin McGowan, Director of Office of Emergency Management in the County of Los Angeles, and listen to what he has to say.
Hi, my name is Kevin McGowan. I'm the Director of the Office of Emergency Management for Los Angeles County. There is an extreme amount of frustration, anger, fear with regards to the erroneous messages that have been being sent out through the wireless emergency alert system across LA County. I can't express enough how sorry I am for this experience. First of all, I want to clarify, this is not human driven. There is no one sitting at a desk right now initiating emergency alerts. I want to restate that. Right now, as these alerts are being issued, they are not being activated or initiated by a person. This is my top priority. I am working all hands on deck with the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Integrated Public Alert and Warning Team. We have every technical specialist working to resolve this issue and to find the root cause. I implore everyone to not disable the messages. As we continue to work on the root cause, I ask everyone that gets an alert to verify if they are in an evacuation warning or order to go to alertla.org, lacounty.gov/emergency, or dial 211 for assistance.
Kevin McGowan, he looked like he was on the verge of a breakdown.
Yes.
Like he was just trying to hold as much of his sanity together to get through what he needed to read clearly and calmly. But he looked like he wanted to bolt out of there. I'm sure he never thought he would be on camera talking about this issue. However, I don't believe the bullshit that there is not a human that is initiating these emergency alerts. Someone in the comments explained to me how the orders for these emergency alerts are pushed out if they are not done by a human. Like, are there sensors on the mountain? I don't understand.
It's nobody's fault. It's never anybody's fault. Nobody ever gets fired.
Nobody ever takes accountability.
Nope.
I mean, just let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Okay, if that doesn't seem a little suspicious to you, that they're trying to blame this on a failure in the system. And if there is a failure in the system, why did the system fail?
It must be Skynet's fault.
So, either AI has completely hacked into their system, which even then, it's also their fault.
Because they program it.
Because they program it, and you are supposed to have IT professionals that are building firewalls and monitoring these systems. And if there is an issue with the system, it is human error. This is the emergency management system. It's not like, the grocery stores, Piggly Wiggly's cashier system went down for an hour or two. This is your state's and local city emergency management.
That doesn't even happen at the Piggly Wiggly, and I live in the South. We've never had that.
Like you as the local officials are responsible to make sure that your emergency management systems are working correctly. If this is a federal issue, Alejandro Mayorkas, who was the Secretary of Homeland Security, it is his responsibility to make sure that these federal systems are working and optimal, that they are not susceptible to hacks, to viruses, to nefarious malware, whatever it is. Someone is to blame. The excuse that this is a system error is unacceptable. Unacceptable. This led to so much panic, confusion. It could have gotten people seriously injured or killed. This isn't a joke.
So my in-laws, when this happened, and it happened multiple times, my in-laws live in Pasadena.
Oh, it happened multiple times.
It happened multiple times, not just once. I called my mother-in-law because they were getting close to an evacuation zone, and they had the fire map, and it was pretty accurate. And I called her and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And she was freaking out. She's like, "We gotta go. We have an evacuation warning." I'm like, I said, "I'm looking at the map. I didn't think you had to evacuate, mandatory evacuate." And she's like, "We just got a notice." And she was packing up her car. And it was like, April Fools. Just kidding. And it happened again several hours later. And it was throughout Los Angeles County.
Unacceptable.
Oh, sorry guys, April Fools. It's fine. But you really need to heed the warnings. Okay. So let's take a look at how much this fool makes, Kevin McGowan.
Okay, so we have Kevin McGowan. In 2023, he was employed by Los Angeles County and had an annual salary of $363,494, according to public record. The salary was 151% higher than the average and 190% higher than the median salary in Los Angeles County. Los Angeles County records show that Kevin McGowan held job of senior management CEO from 2021 to 2023.
Now, I tried to look up 2024 and it wasn't showing any results. I don't know why. Maybe it's a little early. But look at how much this guy is making. I mean, only the weatherman can be wrong 100% of the time and not get fired. But these officials are constantly wrong and nobody is at fault, creating chaos. There's no responsibility and no accountability. And look at how much they're getting paid for being wrong and incompetent. 140% higher than the average and 174% higher than the median salary
Mhm.
in Los Angeles County. Like, that's a lot of money, even for Los Angeles.
Okay, so he worked as Office of Emergency Services in Ventura County, assistant to the chief of police in Santa Monica. He's an officer. He was an officer in the United States Army for 8 years.
Let's move on to Governor Gavin Newsom. In 1996, San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. Does he sound familiar? Kamala Harris? Willie Brown appointed Gavin Newsom to the city's Parking and Traffic Commission. Brown then appointed Newsom to fill a vacancy on the Board of Supervisors.
The man who helped launch his career, Willie Brown.
Mr. Mayor, in his future, then he'll look into the person who appointed him to his first public office.
Oh, you remember that?
It was back in 1996. Brown first appointed Newsom to the Parking Commission in San Francisco.
Did he ever tell you that story?
No.
How he got the parking commission?
No.
Brown appointed him after Newsom volunteered on his mayoral campaign by bar hopping to seek support.
All around the marina or all around the whole city?
Oh, no, whole city.
Yeah.
Oh, no, whole city.
Yeah.
Brown became mayor even then, as Newsom became parking commissioner, then city supervisor.
And in 1998, he was elected to the board. 2004 to 2011, he was mayor of San Francisco. 2011 to 2019, Gavin Newsom was lieutenant governor, and Jerry Brown was the governor. And in 2019, he was elected as governor, and now it's 2025.
And how many times have they tried to recall him since he was elected as governor?
8.
8 times. Crazy. And don't forget, Gavin Newsom is a bit of a Nepo baby here. Because who is his aunt?
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi, from the greater San Francisco area. So we've got a little bit of nepotism going on, I think.
For those of you who did not catch our first fire episode, this is part 2, like I said. In 2014, Proposition 1, Water Storage Investment Program, funding the public benefits of water storage projects. In 2014, the voters voted to have multiple reservoirs built. 0 has been built.
So where did the $2.7 billion go is the question. And that's what we were asking last time. Since they haven't built anything, and in fact, 2 of the 6 original companies that I'm assuming were in the running to build these reservoirs, they backed out. Where does all that money go? And then we also went over the homelessness issue, that they have dedicated $20 billion on homelessness from 2019 to 2023, which has increased. And I mean, if you go to Los Angeles, you go to San Francisco, it doesn't look like that $20 billion has been put to good use. Where is all the money? If it's not going to safety, if it's not going to infrastructure, where is it going?
Another big thing we need to implement, we can't just promote, is to clean this damn state up. And forgive me, my language. The state's too damn dirty. You drive up the streets, corridors, or rather the freeways, and exits, entrances, commercial corridors, downtowns, all up and down the state of California. You look under those Caltrans overpasses, you see mattresses, and see all kinds of things. The images look like a third world country.
So that was in 2021. He said that. Okay, so like I said, 20 billion from 2019 to 2023. 2021 is 2 years later. And he is still saying that it looks like a third world country. Okay. Where'd all the money go, Newsom? Where did it go?
He needs to be audited. The whole state needs to be audited.
So we know that he's not spending the money where it needs to be spent. And what the taxpayers have prioritized, the initiatives that they have supported in past, aren't getting done, like the reservoirs, the homelessness issue. All those things are not being handled.
And in our first video, we showed you in 2018 when Gavin Newsom was not the governor, but he was lieutenant governor. and Jerry Brown was standing right next to them. All of them were in paradise, and Trump told Brown and Gruesome, hey, y'all got to clean up your forests. Like, you look at all this dead forest, just clean everything up. And Gavin Gruesome was standing there with his hands in his back pockets and said, yeah, we got to do it. It was never done.
Right. And we know he's a liar. We know he's a liar. We have it on video. We talked about Trump telling him this. Then he lies about it, in 2021, as if he did something, which all he has done since the Paradise Fire is made it worse. Look at this. Check this out.
Largest dam removal project in U.S. history.
He's
and
smiling.
One of the most significant, if not the most significant, water restoration project, bringing back salmon and steelhead into this basin. This project could not have happened without extraordinary partnerships with tribal nations and, of course, our partners in the North and Oregon. We just finished a celebration with the Secretary of the Interior and our tribal council and tribal leaders, and I couldn't be more proud as a Californian, and I couldn't be more proud as a father, because my kids and their great-great-grandkids will have the opportunity to see something that, has been here since time immemorial, and it's about damn time we got this done.
And delivers a 4 to 5 page paper every week. He says his county is in sort of a news desert. The mainstream media rarely gives his community a voice.
Covering the dam removal has been hard. I'm not on their team.
The team that Jay is talking about is the KRRC. He and many of the paper's volunteer writers are against the dam removals.
As a news source, I just want to say this is the fact.
If you read through the Siskiyou News, you'll rarely see interviews from the KRRC. That's partly because the KRRC has accused them of printing misinformation.
Have you invited them out?
I have not invited them out, not since they made it very clear to me that they were going to publish misinformation no matter what. And they've never asked either, so.
Here's your weekly paper for you to look at and then put a stamp on it and give it to the board's box, please.
Jay says he stands by his paper's reporting. However, he admits that some social media sites have also flagged or censored some of his content as misinformation.
It's content related. It seems to be.
Do you think that content is what's causing you to be censored on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the paper's contributors who writes about the dams is William Simpson, a wild horse advocate who manages a herd of wild horses right above the Iron Gate Dam.
That's why I'm very concerned about the ecology of the Klamath River. If we have toxins in the river, I have to wonder what's that going to do to these horses, and they're such a precious species.
The toxins that William is worried about are heavy metals in the sediments that build up behind the dam. Now, heavy metals do flow down the river naturally, but William says that high concentration of those metals have piled up in the reservoirs over 60 years.
We're talking about lead, chromium, cadmium, aluminum.
William writes extensively about research on metals and sediment quality behind the dams. In one article, William writes about corrupt science and eco-terrorism. He believes that supporters of the dam removals are ignoring past research on sediment analysis.
Even with low doses over time, it poses a real problem for all the people, including the indigenous people downriver.
This is what a lot of residents are seeing. They're a little concerned that you're dumping in the water here.
Sure.
Yeah, this is a part of the plan?
This is part of the plan, and there's nothing to be concerned about.
Dave Kaufman is with Restoration Environmental Solutions, or RES, the contractor hired to repair and replant the barren landscape where the reservoirs once were.
We guarantee restoration success on this project. And what that means is we will be here for a minimum of 5 years after the restoration activity is done, whether it's planting in an upland or doing stream restoration.
Dave says the sediment they're dumping into the water is part of a stream restoration project, and putting it into the river is actually beneficial.
Decades of testing, hundreds if not thousands of samples, multiple federal agencies, multiple presidential administrations, and eventually the states of Oregon and California, which are two of the most environmentally protective states in the country, all said, this sediment's great, send it down the river.
There are fish dead in the river.
Fear of the reservoir sediment started with images of dead fish and stranded wildlife. William Simpson shot this drone video days after the drawdown, and it went viral on the internet. The KRRC says the one-time fish die-off was expected, and it was because the reservoir fish were non-native and couldn't survive in the Klamath River.
Guy throwing dead fish back into the river. You know this company right here, RES, that company.
But as more dead fish images and skepticism about the sediment spread across social media, residents ultimately pushed Siskiyou County supervisors to pay for an independent water test of the river.
So 3 weeks later, the day that you released those tests, my doctor called me and said, can you bring your sons in so we could get their heavy metal heparin?
To be clear, the Klamath River is not a source of public drinking water, but when Siskiyou County released the results from their independent water test, they reported levels of heavy metals like aluminum, chromium, and lead to be over the county's standard drinking water limits. The heavy metal scares have caused many residents along the Klamath River to also conduct their own water testing.
That they're not doing their due diligence as far as environmental safety goes when it comes to the dam removal. And the problem is ecoterrorism is a thing. You know, they want us, the climate change, these environmental activists, they want to yell at conservatives that we deny the science, when in reality, the activists, these, you know, environmental activists, they create their own science. They deny science that doesn't agree with them. We saw it during COVID-19, that there were clear, legitimate, scientifically proven concerns regarding masks, regarding gain of function research, these mRNA vaccines that were clear warning signs to several people in the scientific community that, you know, looked to gain financially from all of this went, oh no, you're just an anti-vaxxer. You're just a science denier. You know, you're just a climate change denier. So yeah, as far as misinformation goes, there is no such thing because each side, Res can create their own information. This small little newspaper can create their own misinformation. Everyone's got an agenda, but somewhere in the middle is the truth. And when you have an organization that is hired out by the government saying, oh, everything's fine, they stand to gain huge financial compensation from this project. So of course they're going to tell the residents everything's fine. But when you have thousands of dead fish on your shore and they're telling you that, oh, that's perfectly normal. No, it's not perfectly normal. It is a red flag. And I think the residents are doing their due diligence in saying, hey, wait a second, we need somebody that's not paid, you know, to do this project to tell us the truth. We need an independent. And it looks like the independent source has proven that company is a liar.
And they want to be, they are trying to shut them down. And let's talk about dams. Beavers build dams.
That dam looks like it has been there for generations. And removing it, what will that do to the ecosystem that's been created now for the last couple of decades?
Well, you saw that, but there were 4 major dams. It was the biggest dam removal, dams plural, in history of America, maybe even the world. But it's pretty bad. And speaking of misinformation, we're going to see a clip of Gavin Newsom begging then President Joe Biden to censor people.
I ask you, we've got to deal with this misinformation.
there were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you, because it infects real people that are out there, people I meet every single day, people the mayor's been meeting with, and they're having conversations that are not the typical conversations you'd have at this time. And you wonder where this stuff comes from. And it's very damaging as well. But we're here to get the job done.
Funny that he shows up for that teleconference meeting, but he couldn't show up for any of the other conference meetings, you know, any of the other pressers that were going on about these fires. He's like wandering around LA doing freaking side quests everywhere, talking to as much media as he can. But when it comes to him actually like being present, you know, going to the emergency center where all of the emergency officials are, he's like, nope, I'm just going to get in my, you know, black Cadillac and go drive around these, you know, burned down neighborhoods for some reason. And let's be honest, Biden doesn't know where the hell he is. Like, it was literally weekend at Bernie's the whole time he was president.
Vice President Biden initiated every federal agency from the Department of Defense on, every federal agency to be part of this. And the other thing is, look, you know, I think you're getting a bad rap. I know you're getting a bad rap about these fire hydrants don't have enough water in them. Give me a break. Give me a break. What this is all about is the utilities, understandably, what they did is they cut off power because they're worried about these high tension lines coming down and causing more fires in the wind, right? When they do that, guess what? They shut off the power that controls the ability to pump the water. And so now you're getting generators. I mean, this is complicated stuff. You're going to have a lot of demagogues out there trying to take advantage of it. But you're doing the right thing. We're going to get it done, God willing.
But because they turned the electricity off, that meant that the fire hydrants couldn't work, but yet the water could come out of people's garden hoses.
Mm-hmm.
How make that make sense?
And then Gavin Grissom says, you need to censor people because of misinformation. As Mr.
I mean,
said,
I know
lie.
Biden, like I know Biden's a million years old and he's had like several brain aneurysms, but come on. Electricity, water is not the same. Okay. And if there was water in the reservoirs, the tanks could have gone and got that water, but it wasn't even there, which is why there was no water in the fire hydrants.
But it's nobody's fault.
But, you know, it's not his fault. It's the electric company's fault, which...
No, it's not even their fault.
But there is a lawsuit now against the electrical company
yes,
because they were supposed to turn off the electricity when these Santa Ana winds come through because their landlines are above, because those electric lines are above ground. And, you know, every time these winds come through, they tell the residents, hey, we're going to turn off electricity so it doesn't cause a fire. And that's not what happened. And now the residents of the Palisades are suing.
Well, so is Eaton Canyon. They're suing as well because that's supposedly where that fire started. If you see
and they're gonna try to suppress that too. I'm telling you, they're gonna suppress.
There's already video. There's video there. But if you know Los Angeles, there's wires everywhere. They're thick wires with telephone poles that are like 100 years old. They're everywhere. And I just said, why don't you bury them? It's too much money. Well, now look how much money it's going to cost to rebuild.
Billions. This is billions and billions and billions.
It's devastating.
Of dollars. I don't know how people are going to rebuild.
But I have to say, cities like San Marino, which is a very affluent city right next to Pasadena, they don't have any telephone wires. Why? Weird, right?
Reservoirs are completely full. Reservoirs here in Southern California that misinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with every elected official that he disagrees with. You know, though, from reporting
here locally that that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate.
It's not my fault.
Invincible to anyone that understands.
He is American Psycho.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why is
call.
the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild. We're getting
Why
the
was there
resources.
no water in the hydrants,
That's all
Governor?
that's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to
Right.
be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To fill
everything
the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that. I would fill up the hydrants myself. But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
And I would have been livid. That
I'm
woman.
literally on the phone right now with President Biden. Oh, I want to hear the call. I'm literally not. I'm literally trying to find cell service. Oh, what a liar! This guy is a complete sociopath.
Yeah, he is a piece of work, that's for sure. I can get crazy. I can yell at the elected official here and there. I have been.
Let's call it passionate.
Let's just put it this way. She was very, very restrained.
She was very measured.
I mean, I can't even believe he was, like I said, why is he out and about? What is he
so that's
doing out there?
That's what I want to talk about. So remember when you and I were on the phone and this was actually happening and you said, where is Gavin Newsom? He is not at any press conference. You know what he was doing? He was driving around Palisades. He was driving around Altadena, taking photo ops. He was not directing. When Florida has hurricanes, who's out in front of the press conferences directing? DeSantis is. He wasn't. And the house that burned down that I used to live in on Mariposa, my ex-boyfriend's house, he said that he saw Gavin Newsom there in front of his house with the houses on fire. He's just taking photo ops. It's all he's doing.
That is so insane to me. I can't.
Disgusting.
That I lived in the Southeast. We get hurricanes. Okay. Now I live in the mid-Atlantic. We just had a few weeks ago, we had a blizzard. The governor was there with the emergency management, making sure that everything was fine. And he's a Democrat. This is not a Democrat versus Republican issue, guys. Gavin Newsom is legit like a shit governor. Okay. It's not that he does not know how to govern. He is burying California. He's literally burned it to the freaking ground. You need to get rid of him, okay? This isn't a Democrat versus Republican thing. He literally is a shit governor and should go.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward. And
did you hear what he said? He's talking to Green, who has speculators there in Maui. Now they haven't rebuilt in Maui. So
also, by the way, that whole Maui situation How come nobody looked into the governor over that whole thing?
He's a leftist.
I know, but nobody was like, oh, the governor. I mean, granted, it was a different situation than this. They didn't have warning like they did in California.
A week's worth they did in California.
But that whole thing was weird.
Yeah, but so he's saying, I'm talking to Josh Green about speculators, about buying land, buying your land.
Maybe
he's happy about it.
Maybe, Jay, maybe he was out there being a speculator, being like, okay, where could my donors buy up cheap land?
For his project, 2028. It's called Smart City. Look that up.
Oh,
2028 for Smart City.
You think he was prospecting the Palisades in Altadena, thinking, oh, this would be totally where we should put this? Is this big enough? Have we cleared off enough land?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that the fires
allegedly.
I'm not saying that at all, because those hills have burned for hundreds and hundreds of years. I've never seen it that low in Altadena ever. And there's more to the story why fire trucks were not pre-positioned. Doesn't make any sense, but he's out there shaking, his shoulder. He's so happy. He's smiling.
And think about it.
His hair is running down into his teeth. I mean, he's salivating.
And Jay, think about it. These people, it will be a miracle if they can get their mortgages paid off. Okay, then what? Then what?
And the property tax too, right? There's the property tax.
So what do you do then? Like what do you do? What is your boyfriend going to do? Your ex-boyfriend, what's he going to do? Is he going to just, okay, well, am I going to rebuild?
From my understanding, he's going to rebuild. He just paid his house off in 2024.
Okay, so his house was paid off.
Yes.
So hopefully he has insurance that will cover it. But if you don't have a house that's paid off,
you still have to
and
pay the
you got
mortgage.
your fire insurance canceled.
Yep.
Like, I mean, what are you supposed to do? You're going to take a buyout. That's what you're going to do.
Probably.
You're going to take somebody saying, I will just buy out the mortgage from you.
Which is sad. Like I said, I love Altadena. I hope Altadenans, they all need to stick together no matter what. They cannot, that community has been destroyed, but it can be rebuilt. And they won't put up with it.
It's going to take years. And I'm sorry to say it, Jay, but a lot of people just don't have the patience. They just don't have, they will want to just move on with their life. And that's the sad thing.
People love Altadena.
Listen, there's going to be a portion of the people that love Altadena, and they're going to be committed to rebuilding there. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to want to stick it out. They're not going to want to stick out keeping their kids in a temporary situation for their school. They're not going to want to stick it out, living somewhere that's an ash heap. And it's not cleared. They still haven't cleared anything out.
The EPA is supposedly going property by property, getting the toxic remains out. Supposedly, that's what they say.
So I mean, how many properties have burned? Thousands. It's not like it's gonna get, if they're doing this property by property, that could take a year or more. So I hate to say it, but the way that this guy is acting, this governor is acting, it doesn't seem like he's in a rush. I mean, he came and met Trump outside of Air Force One to get the photo op. And when Trump went, hey, you're coming to Marine One, he declined. And
he wasn't invited to that press conference. So
he didn't show up at the press conference.
I don't think he
doesn't matter. You are the governor of California. If you're going to crash and show up when Trump lands and he offers you a ride on Marine One, you go with him, talk to him. Even if you don't go to the presser, don't just show up, get your photo up and leave. As far as I'm concerned, Rick Grinnell should run for that seat. He'd be a much better governor than Gavin Newsom.
I think he might.
The fact that California has the audacity, the complete audacity to elect that guy, I think that there needs to be a Senate ethics investigation on him, and I hope that Pam Bondi investigates him and they impeach him. Get him out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, Governor Newsom cut firefighting budget while pouring billions of dollars into his Don Quixote green venture.
Gavin Newsom, they misspelled his name, by the way, is shortchanging the state's vital fire prevention programs while shelling out tens of billions of dollars on Don Quixote Green New Deal handouts. Sounds like AOC and Kamala Harris. Critics, including some environmentalists, say the embattled governor's new budget slashed the state's firefighting efforts by $101 million to just $2.6 billion in June, only 7 months before devastating wildfires began wreaking deadly havoc in Los Angeles. But that hasn't stopped Newsom from ringing up a mind-boggling $14.7 billion price tag in transitioning the state to zero emissions. That's the most important thing. Emission-only vehicles and other clean energy initiatives, and $100 billion in costs over the next several years for even more pure political climate initiatives. I'm not going to read anymore. You guys can read this on your own. But yes,
we'll put the link to this article. Maybe we'll put the link to the article down in the description.
I'll link everything. We're doing all of this work, so you don't have to. You're welcome.
Trump is putting stipulations on California for federal aid.
He better, or else they're going to keep reoffending. They're going to keep driving drunk.
Too, if Trump, I would have to do some more research, but I think if this kind of ineptness is continued, they can open up a federal investigation against the state of California, force audits, because we pay taxes, right, that get poured into California. Doge, you think that he's not going to start looking at how much money is spent in the states federally?
Pull up the grass, look under the rocks, pull back the skin,
USAID. Elon just pulled the plug. Elon and Trump. Elon can't pull the plug on anything, by the way. He's not a federal.
He just brings it to Trump, and Trump's like, get rid of it.
Yep, get rid of it. So Elon advises Trump, and Trump says yes or no. And I think Elon has probably told Trump, hey, I think you should do this. And Trump said no. But USAID, which I think was laundering money to Act Blue, that's my thoughts. That's why the Democrats are freaking the hell out over it. Anyway,
Bill and Hillary Clinton, they have been using it as their own personal slush fund. Look at Haiti. Anyway, let's go on.
Okay, so this article is from Politico.
While the houses were on fire, while people's livelihoods were burning down, what does Gavin Newsom do? And the Democrats? They reach a $50 million deal to Trump-proof the state. Trump is the one who's actually helping now. And Trump wasn't even in office when the wildfires began, January 7th. Now, look what he's spending your money on. So he thinks that that is more important, to Trump-proof the state, so that there's no common sense. There's no accountability. Okay, California.
You know why they did that? Because I think they know that sanctuary cities are going away. And so are sanctuary states. And I think if they look at them protesting in California right now, the immigrants, they shut down one of the highways there in
the
Los
101
Angeles,
freeway.
The 101.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to lose their voter base in California if all the illegal immigrants go away, because you and I know, I mean, I grew up in Phoenix. There's millions and millions of illegals.
Even more so
California
now, the past 4 years.
Yeah. Anyway,
let's go quickly here to X.
Gavin Newsom is unhappy with what he's seen on a tour inside the evacuation zone. He holds residents themselves responsible.
The fact that people were still not evacuated, still did not heed the warning, were just coming down the canyon, is a reminder of how serious this moment is and how important it is you listen to these evacuation orders. We've all been to memorials. I've never been to a memorial for a building.
Pacific Palisades never got an evacuation notice. There were no firemen there until later. So he's blaming you, the victim, for your own house burning down and for not evacuating when there was no notice.
Right. And I'm assuming what he's referring to is the amount of cars that were left on the canyon when
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, the fire's coming," and there isn't any traffic cops. There's nobody directing what's going on.
Nobody told them.
Nobody making sure that the flow of traffic was clear. You know, that's why you have evacuation routes. What happened in California was there was nobody there directing traffic, making sure that traffic could move out of the area. Hello, it's California. Traffic gets congested there on a weekday. Like, can we get some cops to move it along so people can, get out?
Now, Pacific Palisades is sort of a hill. It's it's a tall hill. And so they were all stuck on this road. Now, I wasn't there. And I don't know why people just abandoned their cars. It was, I guess, getting pretty bad. I don't understand why they just couldn't pull over because
Why could they not have cops? Why could they not have cops on the side of the road?
It's very narrow there. It was very narrow.
I don't
And people
care.
just parked their cars.
Clearly, they could see people starting to panic, and that's what happened.
Now, Gavin Gruesom's salary is $299,000 in the year of 2023, and his salary was 95% higher than the average governor's salary. Of course, it was.
I am sick of this guy.
We're going on to the Kristens. Fire Chief of LA City Fire Department, Kristen Crowley. She is a woman. She's proud to be a lesbian. She's waved her rainbow flag in the parades. And her priority that she says on camera is DEI. What about the training?
I don't have all the answers, and I already know that. So the collaboration in the very front end is what I'm going to be building. I think that's worked really well throughout my career, so I'm going to continue to utilize that. But I think the important piece is that first and foremost, the community knows that we're ready and able to serve them. So the staffing issue is really going to be one of my number one priorities, to make sure that the LAFD remains ready to respond to any 911 call. So that's first and foremost. Another priority will be work environment. We've all heard of the issues that are occurring within our fire department, and work environment, inclusiveness, diversity, and equity are all things across the board that my plan is to really intertwine that into how we make our decisions across the board. So work environment is going to be another big one. Firefighter safety, health, and overall well-being is the third priority right off the bat, where we know that our first responders, you can ask that question, well, who actually helps our first responders when they need help? And knowing just holistically how much the world's been going through, let alone our first responders, my focus will be on our members to understand that we'll continue to train and focus on firefighter safety, but maybe a step out and even further that what we've ever done is really focusing on overall health and well-being of our firefighters for the longevity, so that they can come out of their career, not having physical ailments or not having mental health issues or substance abuse issues, just to really lean forward and create that space within our organization that the department's here to support them.
I heard DEI, that's one of her priorities. And then she says the training for firefighters being safe. Absolutely. What about training to put out fires? How about that? And then, of course, the behavioral impact, I guess it's the, let's talk about your feelings. Sure. Okay. But what about the training to put out fires? Who cares about your skin? These mostly are men that probably don't talk about their feelings, but this is so important to her. It's all feelings, like the feelings are flying everywhere. They're going to hit somebody hit in the eye.
Yeah. And 2 years ago, so it looks like she was on the Kelly Clarkson show, because she is LA's first female and LGBTQ fire chief.
Who cares?
So a clear DEI hire. She wasn't hired because she's good at her job, clearly. She was hired because she broke the glass ceiling, Jay. She did it. She broke the glass ceiling. If she was neurodivergent or autistic,
I want the best person for the job, and I hope everybody that has lost their home is seeing this. Who cares what color you are? Who cares if you have a vagina? It doesn't matter. Bottom line is water, reservoirs, hydrants, competent people
And honestly,
that can put the fires out.
Who gives two shits if she's a lesbian? No one effing
cares.
Go
That's
do what you're
personal.
gonna do outside your job. But come on now. Like, let's go.
Okay, what we're looking at is from Kristen Crowley, the fire chief, Los Angeles Fire Department, and this is to the Board of Fire Commissioners, dated October 30th, 2023. Summary: the Los Angeles Fire Department respectfully respects its preliminary fiscal year 2024-2025 proposed budget for commission review. The proposed budget is due to the mayor on November 17th, 2023. In recognition of the mayor's directives for fiscal stewardship, the proposed budget identifies the most critical needs to support the department's workforce and to deliver outstanding public safety services and efficiently and with all community needs in mind. The department requests a total of $1.1 billion from various resources, which includes $964 million for the operating budget and $138 million in non-departmental requests for MICLA, feet, replacement facilities, maintenance, and unappropriated balance requests. So she's asking for money. Okay? This is what's happening. We need money.
Well, listen, even though I think and you think, and we can speculate in all fairness at all points that she's a DEI hire, it is clear. I don't blame her. You know, she could be totally qualified, but she puts this in 2023, and I think she's admitted this. She needed to fight harder for this. This is her job, to make sure that her staff is well funded, to make sure that she has the adequate people that she needs. And from what we talked about in the last one, it's pretty clear that every one of those firefighters, from the greenest of the green to the hardened, most experienced of the most experienced, could see that there is a problem here. And it was her job to blow the whistle. You know, she went on all these media blitz about her being the first gay female to be the fire chief. She should have gone on a media blitz talking about how she needs to get the department funded. This isn't for her. This is for the safety of everyone in Los Angeles. And she clearly, if she's been on Kelly Clarkson and she's going on ABC and she's going on the local news, she needed to be a whistleblower and blow the whistle on Karen Bass and what's been going on in Los Angeles.
That's what good leaders do. They look out for their people.
Exactly. Right. Wow. This is shocking, Jay.
What you're looking at is Kristen Crowley's salary in 2023. She had an annual salary of $654,000 and some change, according to public records. The salary was a 396% higher than average and 415% higher than the median salary in Los Angeles. Look at how much money that is. That's a hell of a lot of money, even for Los Angeles.
In the year 2023, her salary was 92% higher than average fire chief's salary in the state of California. That is shocking.
You're paying for that.
She should have taken a pay cut to get herself funded. Gross. So the assistant chief, fire chief, Christina Kepner, was accused of brutally assaulting ex-girlfriend who claims boss Crowley covered it up and promoted her. My gosh. A senior official at the LA Fire Department made homicidal and suicidal threats, strangled and chased her girlfriend with a carving knife. It was in 2021, so this wasn't like a long time ago. She wrote a suicidal note after cutting herself. This woman should not be the assistant to the fire chief. She needs to be in a mental health facility.
Most of these people do.
This is shocking. Oh.
She is.
Oh. Oh. I think that picture speaks for itself, don't you?
Now, I don't like to make fun of people, except for the far, far left. And I try not to make fun of people's appearance. But it comes a point in time where you can tell people are mentally ill. And people have died because of DEI. And now you've got this woman that's in charge too. I don't know if she is currently involved with the fire department. I think she is. But, you know, we're just bringing you things that we have found.
Listen,
that are disturbing.
I am all for female empowerment, but this is very personal to me because I don't know how much to share with this, but I know first responders who have had suicidal ideations, okay, who have made threats like this, and they lose their jobs. Okay, this is not a laughing matter. Even if this is true, in my experience with people I know who have been through PTSD, I mean, you and I were military spouses. We know people who are suffering with PTSD. First responders suffer with PTSD. Even if it wasn't PTSD and it was a psychotic break, you mentally are not able to do the job of a first responder at that point. And what they will do is they will put you on automatic leave, sabbatical, while you are getting the mental help, physical help, whatever help you need. They will suspend you and not leave you on a job like this. Okay, because it's a detriment to you and the people you're supposed to help.
And your unit, there's been multiple.
And your unit, they rely on you.
Yep.
Yeah. So that is very concerning to me that not only was she able to keep her job without any sort of mental evaluation after an event like this, but that they had promoted her to the assistant to the fire chief. You know, and this was 2021 and she got promoted 2 years later. I'm sorry. No, that's not okay. That's not okay.
You're about to see a video of Deputy Chief Kristen Larson, the Bureau of Equity. She makes $399,000.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better.
Yeah, listen, I know your house burned down with your dog inside, but our skin color is kind of the same, so you should feel pretty good about that.
Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Somebody broke into your house and you want me to help? Sounds like you should have had a better security system. You had a heart attack? Maybe you shouldn't have gone to so many buffets, fatty. You're drowning? Maybe you should learn to swim.
No big deal. That victim-shaming firewoman is only the assistant chief. Holy shit. Good luck with your waterless fire hydrants, Los Angeles. At least you've got diversity to help you.
Listen, it was their fault that they got themselves in that situation. According to this fire chief, it's this man's fault. It's this man's fault that he got himself into this situation.
Altadena family says disabled father and son were left to burn. Nobody was coming for them. Are you going to say that Ms. Larson, it was their fault that they died, that they burned? What a horrible death.
Yeah.
You're a disgrace.
So this story actually breaks my heart.
Yes.
Like, it breaks my heart. He waited for an ambulance because his son has cerebral palsy.
And he didn't want to leave his son.
And he did not want to leave his son. So they waited for a medical transport that never came.
Do you think that he said, I want to see a black woman save me? Oh, because I understand your situation. No, nobody came for him. He doesn't give a damn what color you are.
You know how many stories I've heard of neighbors making sure that their elderly neighbors got out? Those people would have died. And I am certain that a lot of people in that situation, like this man, did die, and they aren't telling us the truth.
Yeah, he died and his son died. Now, my ex-boyfriend, that his house burned down, you've heard the story. On each side, there were the Fords, and they were a wonderful, wonderful family. My ex-boyfriend, who's white, by the way, went next door to the Fords, who's black. Who cares? This is Altadena. Made sure they got out. They all got out. Now, he had a elderly neighbor on his right side. He made sure she got out. That's what was happening. It doesn't
Neighbor
matter
helping
the color.
neighbor. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's a story, and you all can find it on the YouTube. But in Pasadena, there was an old age home, like a hospital, anyway, where older people live. And the police went in. Yes, the police who you wanted to fund. They went in to an evacuated facility. There's this old woman. I think she was 100. She was there by herself. Everybody left her. She would have burned, but they got her out. She said, "Please don't leave me." She's using a walker, and nobody helped her. Where are the checks and balances? Those caretakers just took off. They're paid to take care of these people. She was on her own, and the whole building was smoky.
That's
negligent. It was
negligent.
I hope that they get sued. I was furious when I heard that. You can find it on YouTube. So the woman that told you, men, you got yourself into it. Too bad. In 2023, she had an annual salary of $447,000, almost $448,000. The salary was 239% higher than the average and 252% higher than the median salary in Los Angeles. That's how much she's making.
Yeah, her salary is 22% higher than the average fire assistant chief salary in the state of California alone.
Why?
All right. Well, this ends this episode of our deep dive into LA County fires, or into LA fires. And we will see you guys in the next episode, our next part into the deep dive in LA County. I am your host, Lisa, and my co-host, Jay, signing off.